Good morning, and welcome to the Committee on Ways and Means. I am Assemblymember Danielle Monroe Moreno. Committee Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Assembly members Anderson, Backus, Brown May, Dickman, Hafen, Hibbets, Haudegi, Koenig, Mazga, O'Neill, Torres Fawcett, Watts, Yeager, and Chair Monroe Moreno.
And I am here. Welcome to everyone joining us here in Carson City. Not seeing anyone in Las Vegas yet, and anyone joining us online. It's our second official Ways and Means meeting. It's exciting. I'll remind everyone to mute or silence your electronic devices. Members will be using their laptops to follow along with the meeting. If you plan to testify, invite you to the table. Make sure you state and spell your name for the record, and you'll have to state your name every time you speak. It helps with record keeping. I will also remind you that respectful, courteous, and polite behavior is expected in this meeting at all times. If that doesn't happen, I have absolutely no problem making sure that you are escorted out of this meeting if you choose not to be that way. I also will remind you that this is a fiscal committee. Meetings, bills in here have had their policy hearing. We are not here to discuss policy. We are here to discuss the fiscal matters associated with that policy, and that is it. So make sure that you remember that as you make any public comment or in your support and things for this bill or any measure we're hearing today. Public comment will be limited to just 2 minutes. That will be at the end of today's meeting. And if you are following along and you'd like to call in for public comment, that number is 888-475-4499. Our meeting ID is 886-9246-5279. Then please press pound. Public comment, again, will be at the end of the meeting. We will be taking some of the bills out of order today, but we have Chair Miller with us today, and luckily her committee does not start for another 20 minutes. So we will take her bill first so she's not late for her committee. And members, I will be leaving momentarily to do a bill presentation on the Senate side, and I'll be turning the meeting over to our vice chair once I do that. So with that, we will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 91. And welcome to Assembly Ways and Means.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Erica Roth, and I'm proud to represent Assembly District 24 in Washoe County. Thank you for the opportunity this morning to address the fiscal impact of AB 91. AB 91 comes from a recommendation of the Joint Interim Standing Committee on Judiciary from the 2023-2024 interim and reflects a growing national momentum towards addressing excessive sentences through second look reviews. Of relevance to this committee, the Nevada Department of Corrections filed one fiscal note on February 11th, 2025, establishing a cost to the state for administrative costs. That note has now been amended to 0, reflecting amendments in the policy committee to conform with the original intent of the bill, which was to allow for reviews but not mandate any parole hearings. I'm here to answer any questions. I believe NDOC is also present for any questions. And additionally, Chair Miller will be presenting a conceptual amendment, policy amendment for AB 91, which through our conversations with the Nevada Department of Corrections does not change their fiscal analysis.
Thank you so much. Chair Miller, you want to go ahead with that amendment?
Yes. Thank you, Chair Monroe Moreno, and good morning to all the rest of the members of the committee. And yes, Assemblymember Roth had taken the lead on this interim committee bill, as well as working through the fiscal issues. And once we learned that not only would this bill be a cost savings bill for the state, but also that keeping the bill intact as originally intended would not increase or create an additional fiscal note. So with that, we were able to amend back into the bill that people, and again, the bill, the policy is this is a may. people can be considered. It is not a mandate, but that the ability to take a look back and a second review to someone's sentence, as long as they have served a minimum of 10 years of their sentence and have not been sentenced to death. But again, this is, it would also include those who were sentenced for life without parole. But as Assemblymember Roth said, this is also not going to have any additional fiscal impact on the bill.
And in the amendment, there's also listed, and if I missed it, I'm sorry, in the statement that you made, a prisoner does not pose a significant or articulable risk to public safety?
Yes, Chair. Brittany Miller for the record. With the policy around this bill, the same standards that would go for any other parole are still intact. So they would still be evaluated by the parole commissioners just like any other person. All this bill does is give an opportunity to have that parole review possibly before a parole date.
And with that added language, is that an additional safeguard for the public?
Absolutely, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Yes. Vice Chair Backus.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And I think I've kind of answered this question, but I just wanted to kind of run it by you all. There was a fiscal note submitted by the Department of Public Safety, Parole, and Probation as the bill was introduced, including it was weird because the effect on future biennium said it was 0, and basically dependent on it being undetermined. But in it, the parole said that they may, because if there's an additional parole grants on those eligible for a second look, any increase of the parole grants will require additional supervision officers. The division does not possess the necessary data to estimate the number of increased parole grants to determine whether the increase could be absorbed and then with the existing staff, and that they may go to IFC for additional positions. But as I'm hearing you saying that overall there would be a cost savings on the side of Department of Corrections if this individual is released, is that kind of like, would it essentially cover any cost that would be needed for the additional parole supervisor or positions?
Thank you. Erica Roth for the record, Chair, through you to the Vice Chair.
You can go directly to the members.
Thank you. Yeah, to address that, correct, we can't exactly know how many people would ultimately be released on parole. What's important to understand about the policy while we are talking about the money is that it simply allows for a review, and the same stringent standards that are applied to very similar cases is still going to apply. And so when we're looking at as a whole, there may be some additional folks who are released and then have to be supervised by parole and probation, but that cost is now not being borne out in NDOC.
Members, any other questions? All right, not seeing any. Thank you so much. And we'll invite to the table anyone who's here to testify in support of Assembly Bill 91. Not seeing anyone here in Carson City and not seeing anyone at all in Las Vegas. Broadcast, do we have anyone that would like to provide supportive testimony for Assembly Bill 91?
To testify in support of Assembly Bill 91, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue.
Tanya Brown, TONJABROWN, advocate for the inmates and the innocent. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I want to thank the presenters of this bill, and we are in strong support of this bill. Again, we think it's a great bill, and the fact that it's going to save money to the taxpayers is even one of the main another reason we should pass this bill. And again, we look at their sentences, and some of these people should really not be in prison. They've served far too long in many cases that, you know, and having the courts taking a look at it would be fantastic. Anyway, have a wonderful morning, and we ask that you pass this, AB 91. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 203, please press star 6 to unmute. You are unmuted and may begin. Caller, you are unmuted on our end. Is your phone muted?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I apologize. Good morning. My name is Mariah Sawyer, Marihsawayer. I'm calling in support of AB 91. I have spent over 20 years working with incarcerated inmates, inside and outside, and I do believe that it will have a positive effect and also cost savings for the state of Nevada. And I have seen a lot of good organizations assist people to give back to the society. And as somebody said in a previous hearing, this is not a free card, get out of jail. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. Get out of jail free card. It's an opportunity for an offender to step in front of the parole board and show to them what kind of program they've done, what they've done since they are incarcerated. And by any means, we're not being insensitive towards the victims of some of the crimes that some of these inmates committed. Again, I appreciate being able to speak up. I'm in support of AB 91. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Denise Bolaños Heredia, Bolanos Heredia. I'm the Associate Director of Return Strong, and we're in strong support of AB 91. AB 91 presents a cost-saving opportunity that's both responsible and strategic. The proposed amendment to include individuals sentenced to life without parole as long as they're not sentenced to death and still meet those strict eligibility requirements strengthens this bill's cost-saving potential, and we commend Assemblymember Miller for this amendment. More eligible individuals does not mean automatic release. It means a larger pool to assess for possible safe release. That's more opportunities to reduce our prison population and with that, our spending. This is especially critical given the high cost of incarcerating aging individuals, often 2 to 3 times higher than younger people due to their medical needs and security demands. Every person safely released means fewer taxpayer dollars spent on housing, healthcare, and corrections staffing. AB 91 is not soft on crime, it's smart spending. It ensures we are no longer using our limited state resources to incarcerate people who no longer need to be behind bars. Thank you for your time, and we urge you to support AB 91 as a fiscally responsible path forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good morning. My name is Leslie Turner. I'm calling in support of AB 91, obviously for the what the policy actually does, but also for the economic savings to the state and also the economic impact to the communities impacted by mass incarceration. So thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you. Broadcast, do we have any other callers?
Caller with the last three digits, 142, please press star 6 to unmute.
Good morning, Chair and committee members. My name is Eden Kinlock, and I'm calling to support Assembly Bill 91. I'm calling on behalf of FAM. We are a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that seeks to create a more fair and effective justice system. As part of our National Second Chances agenda, we support legislatures all across the country creating more pathways for long sentences to be reviewed and adjusted through second look mechanisms. We submitted written testimony today and comment to share our support for AB 91. and we want to speak more to the fiscal impact of the bill. There are two primary provisions of this bill that could have a significant impact on NDOC's in-custody population levels and their inmate-driven costs, those being the second look review and the AB 267 age eligibility expansion. Based on current discretionary parole grants, grant rates, NDOC approximates 276 people to be granted parole imminently upon the bill's effective date, an additional 36 people to be released the following year, with an expected savings of up to $1.09 million in fiscal year 26 and 1.2 in fiscal year 27. However, the largest cost savings occurs when individuals serving the longest sentences are included. With this conceptual amendment, the 555 individuals serving life without parole in NDOC would be eligible for second look parole. And considering an annual inmate-driven cost of $3,600 per year, NDOC could expect to save up to $2 million in inmate-driven costs if these individuals are granted second look parole. Even applying the 53.2% discretionary parole grant rate, currently, NDOC could save up to $1 million annually on inmate-driven costs. Thank you for your time and consideration. Again, my name is Eden Kinlock. I'm calling on behalf of FAM, speaking in support of AB 91. Thank you.
Thank you. Broadcast, do we have any other callers wishing to provide support testimony?
If you've recently joined the call and want to testify in support of Assembly, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Mike DiVicino. As a former inmate who spent nearly 30 years incarcerated, at one time under the penalty of life without the possibility of parole. I have now been out of prison for over 5 years. I'm doing rather well. I have an organization. I work with at-risk youth to try to keep them out of the system, to keep them entrenched in their communities where they are adding to the community. They are an asset to the community and not a drain. As somebody, as I mentioned, that was serving a life without, I know numerous individuals, both who have aged in there, have been locked up and incarcerated for 40 plus years on the life without, who want for nothing more than to be able to get out, to be an asset to their families, their communities. I used to work with the young inmates in there. I had prison programs. I know many of them, and it is said that the brain is not completely, what's the word for it? I'm a little nervous myself, where the brain is not completely formed until we're the age of 25. So for all those who were sentenced as juveniles, adjudicated as adults, or were in their younger years when they committed their offenses, and they've been in their programming, et cetera, and not being acknowledged as such by the board, they continue to be a drain not only on society and the community, their families as well. Taxpayer dollars are all going down this rabbit hole. So many people in there that have done everything they can according what's expected to them by the parole board, and not yet being given that second chance that this bill offers. I am in strong support of this bill, and so many of us are just praying that all these individuals that have not earned, that have not been afforded the opportunity to come out and show and prove that they want nothing more than to be a contributing member to society. Such strong support. I just can't stress enough, as somebody that went away young, came out old, individuals in there that are working so very hard for the opportunity to do the same thing. They just want to come out, have a family, and contribute to society. Strong support of the bill. thank you all so much for listening.
Thank you so much. Broadcast, was that our last caller?
We have one more, Chair.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. This is Ashley Dodson, for the record, ASHLEYDODSON of Anchor Perspectives, calling on behalf of the NAACP Las Vegas Chapter 1111 in strong support of AB 91. AB 91 not only aligns with the values of justice and reform, but also makes sound economic sense. This bill is projected to generate substantial cost savings for Nevada by reducing unnecessary expenditures tied to outdated policies. By addressing inefficiencies and reallocating resources where they are most impactful, AB 91 can help alleviate budgetary pressure on local and state governments. Further, this legislation fosters long-term economic benefits by promoting fair access to opportunities, reducing barriers to employment, and lessening the financial burden on our criminal justice and public welfare systems. Studies consistently show that investing in inclusive, preventative, and restorative approaches results in significant public savings while strengthening workforce participation and reducing recidivism. The NAACP Las Vegas Chapter 1111 believes that AB 91 supports both fiscal responsibility and the advancement of historically marginalized communities. We urge you to pass this critical legislation and demonstrate Nevada's commitment to a just and economically efficient future. Thank you for your leadership and continued dedication to equitable policy and solutions.
Thank you. Broadcast, did we have anyone else join the line?
We'll prompt again. If you would testify in support of Bill 91, press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 097, please press star 6 to unmute.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Renee Madrid, R-E-N-E-E, last name Madrid, M-A-D-R-I-D. As the mother of an incarcerated individual who was sentenced at the age of 19, 2 months after his 19th birthday. I am in full support of this bill, not only for the economic savings of it, which is a huge impact on our community, but also for the opportunity for these young people to prove their rehabilitation, as my loved one has served almost 20 years behind bars, sentenced again 2 months after his 19th birthday. He is a different individual at this point, and I believe that they should be given the opportunity to prove themselves and show that they have done what was required of them, taken the courses that were needed, proved themselves, stayed out of trouble, and want nothing more than to be able to see their parents and their families before they pass, to be able to become parts of society and contribute and to learn to live their lives in a manner that they were not able to do as young teenagers, because as teenagers, you know, they don't think. And again, I am in strong support of AB 91, and especially Part 3, the juvenile reform and outdated policy on sentencing. And I pray that you will hear this and take this to heart. And I appreciate you for your time. And I pray that this bill passes in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I believe that was our last caller, correct?
Yes, that was the final caller in support.
Thank you so much. We'll move to opposition. Is there anyone here in Carson City that would like to testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 91? Not seeing anyone come to the table and still not seeing anyone in Las Vegas. Broadcast, do we have anyone on the phone line that would like to provide testimony in opposition of AB 91?
To testify in opposition to AB 91, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers to testify in opposition.
Thank you so much, and we will move to neutral. Is there anyone here that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 91? Good morning.
Good morning, Chair and Committee. My name is Don Southworth, DONSOUTHWORTH. I'm the Chief of Offender Management with the Nevada Department of Corrections. Anytime you talk about reducing offender populations in prisons, it's going to be a cost savings. It's very difficult to understand exactly how much that'll be, but it certainly is a lot more expensive to incarcerate them than to supervise them in a community. The other thing I want to mention is prison populations are projected to continue going up pretty quickly, and we are very rapidly running out of bed space in our department. So any kind of relief as far as offender population levels would go would be appreciated, not only for the cost savings, but for the safety of the staff, offenders, and the public, so we're not getting overcrowded as a department. And then, Chair, I'm available to answer any questions if we have any time.
Thank you so much. We do have one question for you, Speaker Yeager.
Thank you so much, Chair, and good morning. Just a crystal ball question, I suppose. If offender population continues to rise, you just said you're quickly running out of bed space. What happens if you run out of bed space and offenders continue to get sentenced to prison? What are your options at that point?
Thank you for the question. We currently have closed or shuttered facilities that we could approach legislation about potentially reopening at a future session. If we run out of bed space before then, what we would have to do is get creative, whether it's housing offenders in activity rooms, gymnasiums, doing things that we really don't want to do because it risks safety for the offender population.
Thank you for the follow-up, Chair. Appreciate that response. I think we did have some conversations in the Money Committee about, what it would take to open up shuttered facilities, and obviously that's not in the budget now. A lot of things are not in this budget. But I guess the follow-up question I have is this. I recall in the past there were situations where NDOC actually contracted with other states. I think we sent offenders to Arizona or what have you. Is that something that you think would happen in the future if we could not find the space, safety-wise, safety reasons or otherwise, they could not be housed in gymnasiums and that? Sending offenders out of state, is that something the department would do, and does that come at an additional cost?
Thank you for that question. Certainly that would be something that we could look at. When we previously sent offenders to Arizona, that was a private facility, and that is no longer an option for Nevada offenders. But anytime we were to send offenders out of state, they would want to charge us for that price of incarceration.
And Speaker Yeager, I think you remember maybe in 2019, we had a measure that was carried by the chair of this committee to ensure that we were no longer able to use private prisons in the state of Nevada or send our incarcerated to private prisons out of state. So, are there any other questions? Not seeing any. Thank you so much. Not seeing anyone else here at the table and to testify in neutral, and no one in Las Vegas. Broadcast, do we have anyone on the phone lines that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 91?
To testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 91, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good morning, Chair and committee members. My name is Jane Audette, A-U-D-E-T-T-E for the record. I'm speaking as an individual from a neutral stance on AB 91. I'm also a member of Showing Up for Racial Justice Las Vegas, and we support Mass Liberation Nevada's position on this bill. This is an important bill because it's going to give incarcerated persons in our communities a second look parole review. This bill will have my support if it includes persons sentenced to life without parole. I'm asking for this bill to include these persons. Other incarcerated individuals who will benefit from this bill already have some parole options. However, life without parole persons do not. Therefore, it's even more important to assure that they're included to establish a level of equity. This bill provides strategic and responsible cost savings to the NDOC. I appreciate the chair and the committee for the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good morning, Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Mark Diefenbacher. That's MarkDiefenbacher, and I'm a resident of Assembly District 5. I'm testifying today in neutral support of AB 91. Justice can be complicated. Justice can also help us push beyond fear and anger. We all want justice that's fair and leads to a better society. I ask that this committee ensure inmates serving life without parole are included in this bill. Over my lifetime, the use of life without parole as a punitive measure has exploded, and this has not been due to increased crime rates. We have gained nothing as a society from that expansion. In fact, we've ended up straining ourselves financially and morally by incarcerating men and women beyond sentences considered just. Given the possibility of inappropriate sentencing imposed decades ago, the fact that rehabilitation exists, and the low recidivism rates reported even among those sentenced for the most serious crimes, retaining these individuals in the penal system is not promoting public safety. It prevents these individuals from contributing to society and continues to divert money from crime prevention. I urge committee members to amend AB 91 and treat those serving life without parole as deserving of a second look in order to give justice another chance. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Chair, we have no additional callers for neutral testimony.
Thank you so much. So with that, we'll ask the sponsor who's shaking her head no for any final comments. And with that, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 91. We will open the hearing for Assembly Bill 320, which revises provisions relating to the administration of justice. Good morning. Welcome to Ways.
Good morning, Chair. Jovan Jackson for the record. I'm honored to present AB 320. The idea of this bill came from my experience of court watching with Plan and the Mass Liberation Project. I see individuals denied entry to court solely based off their attire, especially during the hot summer days where individuals may wear shorts or flip-flops. And with that being said, I will pass the rest of the presentation off to Mr. Shepak.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. I will be brief here. My name is Nick Shepak. I am the Nevada State Director of the Fines and Fees Justice Center, last name SHEPACK. As the Assembly member mentioned, the bill really does two things. One, it addresses access to courts based on attire, removes punishments if an individual is denied access by a judge. And the second part, which is the part that had the original fiscal note, this is enabling language that allows parole and probation to run pilot programs with nonprofits to develop workforce trainings. With the original version of the bill, the Department of Public Safety, Division of Parole and Probation, put a $460,000 just about dollar fiscal note because there was a requirement to establish these types of pilot programs. However, after discussions, amendments, and the first reprint, the department has just removed their fiscal note as this language is only enabling language, and we have talked with many nonprofits who would be willing to provide these types of services at no cost, and for that reason, the note has been removed. We are happy to take any questions you have on the bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone here from the Department of Parole and Probation? I understand that with the amendment, they said that they would remove the fiscal note, but I want to make sure that within their existing resources, they'd be able to establish this pilot program. All right, we'll have to give a call out to them. Not present. Members, do you have any questions? You're going to get off easy for your first Ways hearing. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you working to get the fiscal note out, and we will reach out to, or if you could reach out to parole and probation and have them reach out to us just to make sure that they don't come back to IFC and say, oh, we thought we could do it, but now we can't because we ain't got no money. And just because they took the fiscal note off now, I don't want them to come back later and say, oh, actually, we were wrong. We do need the money. All right.
Thank you, Chair, and we will absolutely reach out to PNP. We will get clarification for you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If you can take a step back, and I'll invite to the table anyone that's here that would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 320. Not seeing anyone come to the table in Carson City and no one in Las Vegas. We'll go to our phone line. Do we have anyone on the phone line that would like to make public support testimony for AB 320?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 320, please press *9 now to join the queue. Chair, there are no callers for support.
Thank you so much. We'll move to opposition. Is there anyone here that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 320? Not seeing anyone come to the table here in Carson City, no one in Las Vegas. Do we have anyone on the phone line that would like to provide testimony in opposition of 320?
If you would like to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 320, please press *9 now to join the queue. Chair, there are no callers for opposition.
Thank you so much. And we'll move to the neutral position. Is there anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 320? Not seeing any here in Carson City and no one in Las Vegas. We'll go back to the phone line. Do we have anyone on the phones that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 320?
If you would like to testify in neutral for Assembly Bill 320, please press *9 now to join the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. Then we'll ask the sponsors if you have any closing remarks. They're both shaking their head no. So with that, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 320. And we will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 386, which revises provisions relating to the assessment administered to pupils to assess reading proficiency. Good morning and welcome to Ways.
Good morning, Chair and committee members. I'm Heather Goulding. I represent Assembly District 27. AB 386 is a school assessment choice bill, and I have Tess Opferman and Laura Davidson representing Washoe County School District with me to present today.
Thank you. Tess Opferman here on behalf of the Washoe County School District, and I will actually pass it straight over to Laura Davidson. She is the Director of Research and Evaluation with the Washoe County School District, knows all about testing at the school district. She's the real expert and can further explain this bill. Thank you.
Thank you again. For the record, Dr. Laura Davidson, Director of Research and Evaluation. I'm here today in strong support of AB 386. We're calling it the Assessment Choice Act, and it allows school districts and charter schools the flexibility to select an interim reading assessment for grades K through 3 that best meets the needs of their students instead of being required to use a state-dictated, one-size-fits-all approach at the state level. So as a little bit of background, for the past 8 years, the Nevada Department of Education has required and paid for the use of the MAP growth assessment as part of the Read by Grade 3 initiative to measure students' reading progress. When this policy began, MAP may have been a reasonable choice, but in the past 8 years, both the assessment landscape and our district needs have evolved. In Washoe County, we found MAP is no longer giving educators or families understandable, actionable data they need to support student learning. So 2 years ago, we adopted iReady and paid for it along with all of the training so that it could be a tool that educators use in the classroom, which is the most important use of an assessment, not to compare districts all across the state. That's sort of the least important component of an assessment tool. So again, this was at our own cost and well worth the investment for us. Unfortunately, because of the current law, our students are now being double tested 3 times a year in MAP for compliance and 3 times a year in iReady because it actually helps teachers teach. That means 6 high-stakes tests each year for our youngest learners. That is not educationally defensible. It's really confusing for families, it creates data overload, and it takes valuable and costly time away from instruction, especially for our early readers. It's also a waste of tax dollars since we're spending hours collecting data that we no longer use or emphasize in our district. My own child's entering kindergarten next year. Her very first year of public education is going to begin with 10 hours of standardized testing. And that's time that could be spent teaching her to read instead of testing her reading. So we didn't adopt iReady because we wanted to duplicate MAP. We adopted it because the state only pays for an interim reading assessment in grades K through 3. That means the districts must pay for an assessment in grades 4 through 8 and in math. And so in order to do that, we had to make a choice. Do we stick with MAP, which is not really working for us, or do we use one consistent measure all the way across K-8 for reading and for math? I think that led us to a clear choice, and we've been very happy with our selection ever since. We believe in this Assessment Choice Act that districts should have to pay for those costs. If we're going to opt out of the state-defined assessment, districts should pay for those costs, but what we're hoping is that this offers that flexibility. There's a little bit of irony in this right now because the state's own Assessment Selection Committee recently recommended switching away from MAP and adopting iReady just a month ago. But today, as we're sitting here speaking right now, the state board is considering delaying that change for another year. And in fact, that's just happening right now. And throughout this limbo that we're in, because districts can't reach consensus about what an assessment tool should look like for the entire state, and why should they? We're all very different with different needs. Washoe County School District faces another year of double testing with a tool that's already been deemed by the state's own process as less effective. Meanwhile, our implementation with iReady is really strong. Our teachers are fully trained. Our systems are built. In a study last year, we found students who used iReady consistently outperformed students who didn't on the Smarter Balance assessment. So we picked up those costs. We would continue to do that regardless of what the state chooses today or in the next month. It's a solution that's working for Washoe. We just need the ability to use that assessment that we prefer without being forced to administer a second less effective tool on top of it. AB 386 allows us to do that, and importantly for this committee, it would cost the state nothing. Districts would have to pick up that tab for an additional assessment. They just need to prove to the state that it is a valid and reliable assessment and have a plan for doing so. So we are not asking for less accountability, we're just asking for better accountability, for assessments that serve instruction instead of being a tool that every district must use simply for the use of comparing one district to another. So we recognize that AB 386 would offer this local choice for districts that maybe have invested heavily in MAP. We also don't want to require them to have to make a dramatic shift when they've already invested in training. So we believe that this is the right tool for Nevada, helps acknowledge that we are unique, and offers a way out at no cost to the state to allow for this local adaptation as needed. So thank you for your time. We're happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much for giving us an overview of the policy. I know that the Department of Education has put a fiscal note in, and they're saying they would need 2 full-time positions if this change were to happen, which frankly doesn't make sense to me. Is there anyone could you please come to the table and explain the fiscal note? Because according to the testimony that was provided, Washoe's already paying for it, and moving forward, the districts would be making payment and NDE currently pays for MAP. So you're already doing it. So if there was a change, I don't see an additional workload. Could you please explain the need for this?
Thank you. Amelia Thibault for the record, THIBAULT. So this is twofold. On the one, we had 2 pieces to our fiscal note. On the one, we have a cannot be determined in terms of the cost of the reading assessment. While we did a read through of the bill, we could not identify where it said that NDE would not be responsible to pay for all of the reading assessments, because the language requires that we pay for the current Read by Grade 3 assessment, which is MAP and was proposed as I Teach. When this bill initially proposed 2 reading assessments, the onus for payment on both of those was still on NDE. While this additional amendment does remove it and say that local districts can choose which reading assessment they would like, the language is actually not clear in terms of the financial responsibility, which meant that we have an average cost of $4 million per biennia, approximately $2 million a year for a 4-year assessment contract, for a total of $8 million per reading assessment. So this is where the cannot be determined initially came from in that respect. When it comes to the positions, we have our Nevada accountability framework, which does require that testing be that it be consistent and able to be compared to one another under federal law. Because we have districts that might be choosing multiple reading assessments or different reading assessments, it would require some staff to be able to set the data reporting standards for each of those assessments in such a way that allows them to be comparable for the purposes of federal compliance with the accountability framework.
I don't think that answers. I got what I wanted to hear, but I'm going to let some other members ask questions, and I believe Assemblymember Torres Fawcett has a question.
Thank you. And this is for NDE more than anything. If you could clarify then, how is this assessment data used in the department?
So the assessment data, we have our Read by Grade 3 team, which reviews the MAP data, but we also have our Office of Assessments Data and Accountability Management, who report that data into the state accountability framework.
Thank you. And so my understanding then with the concern is that this would create more work because there would be 2 different assessments, and then what workload does that then create for that team?
So we would need to make sure that we establish data reporting guidelines, and that as that data was provided to us, there was review of the review and validation of the data. And in particular, we would have to ensure that they were reported in the same way so that we could have comparable statewide results in terms of that assessment across however many reading assessments. I believe the conversation has been that there would be 2, but this does open it up to an unlimited number. And I believe that's where some of the concern is. I would say the more significant fiscal concern is the payment for those reading assessments.
Thank you. Then to clarify too, if there was an amendment on this version of the bill before us that clarified that any assessment that was used that was different than what the department purchases through their RFP would be the responsibility of that individual district or school, would that address the concern?
Yes, that would address the concern.
Thank you.
So that would address the concern for the cost for the product. What about the positions? And I think NDE would have to answer that because they're the ones paying that bill.
So I do believe, as I'm looking at our revised fiscal note, some of our support necessary is also to provide guidance. This speaks to the Read by Grade 3 team, who would need to provide guidance about providing that test and how to prepare for that test. I apologize. I can speak to the fiscal note, but not as well to the exact activities of the Read by Grade 3 team. I believe the concern really is making sure that it is aligned with the state literacy plan and making sure that we are able to provide consistent guidance no matter the assessment taking place.
Thank you. Assemblymember Anderson.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the answer regarding the guidance necessary. However, and I realize this is not your area of expertise, but isn't there already guidance present that is not necessarily only part of the MAPS test. It would be consistent with the educational items that the school is already going through, number one. And then number two, if it is for a school district, they would also already have people, like the doctor sitting right next to you, who would be able to work on that. So I'm a little bit confused as to why that would be needed, why another individual would be needed for that guidance of how exactly to use a standardized test that is currently already being utilized by some school districts by their own choice. And charter schools, excuse me.
So I will say I can only speak to the information that was reported to me by the Office of Teaching and Learning in regards to the workload that they believe these additional reading assessments would put on their office. To that end, I believe we'd be amenable to further discussion to see if we can refine that. But I think presently, as of this conversation, with an amendment, we could remove the $2.1 million per fiscal year per reading assessment, which is ideal. And we're open to further discussion to try to drill in and really assess the intent of the bill and the workload that would be associated with it to see if we could reduce it further.
Thank you, Chair, and I'm more than happy to work with that, as I know the school districts and charter schools would be as well, because quite frankly, this is not feeling like it is part of the current language of this bill. As I read through this, it feels more like this is attempting to fund a different program that is already currently funded. And so I really do hope the department looks at what is in the language of this bill, not attempting to do a different legislation that has already been passed and adding a fiscal note to that. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, we're happy to submit an amendment that clarifies that the school district is financially responsible for the purchase of any assessments that are in addition to what the state is, not in addition, I'm sorry, as an alternative to the state's provided assessment tool.
Thank you so much. I encourage you to work with NDE and get that amendment to us in a timely manner so that we can put this bill up for a work session. And I must agree with my colleague, Assemblymember Anderson. I do not see the justification for new positions for this bill. So I'd ask you to look at that part of your fiscal note as well in hopes that you can remove that. Members, any other questions? Okay, not seeing any. Thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you for answering the questions for us. And I'll invite to the table anyone that would like to provide testimony in support of Assembly Bill 386.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Sarah Adler, A-D-L-E-R, and I represent a coalition of independent charter schools of Northern Nevada, to whom iReady is so important that they already, out of their very limited funds, have purchased the license and pay for the training for iReady. And what I'd like to add, in addition to what has already been shared with you, is a wonderful component of iReady is that once children take the assessment identifies for the children the skills gap that appears to be apparent in the child's literacy development. So, for example, if the child seems to not grasp phonemic awareness, it tells the teacher that, and it directs the teacher to prepared materials within iReady to support that skills gap. So the charter schools I work with have found iReady to be extremely beneficial in children's literacy development and would super appreciate the opportunity to use iReady as their reading assessment. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Mary Przinski, here representing Nevada Association of School Superintendents, and we are in support of this bill. It allows those school districts that are using MAP and want to continue using it, it allows them to do that. So thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing anyone else here in Carson City to provide support testimony and no one at the table in Las Vegas. We'll go to our phone lines. Do we have anyone join us on the phone that would like to provide support testimony for Assembly Bill 386?
To testify in support of Assembly Bill 386, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for support.
Thank you so much. And we'll move to opposition. Is there anyone that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 386? Not seeing anyone here at the table in Carson City, no one at the table in Las Vegas. We'll go back to the phone lines. Do we have anyone on the phone that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 386?
To testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 386, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. We have no callers for opposition.
Thank you. Then we'll move to the neutral testimony. Is there anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 386? Not seeing anyone here in Carson City, no one at the table in Las Vegas. We will go back to the phone lines for the last time. Do we have anyone on the phone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 386?
To testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 386, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral testimony.
Thank you so much. We'll ask the sponsor if you have any closing remarks, and she is shaking her head no. So with that, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 386. Thank you for joining us. And we will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 415, which revises provisions governing the towing of motor vehicles. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, Chair Monroe Moreno. I'm Max Carter from Assembly District 12, the east side of Las Vegas and the far north side of Henderson. And I'm going to turn this over to my co-sponsor with this, Assemblymember Golding.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good morning, Chair and committee members. I'm Heather Goulding. I represent Assembly District 27 in North Reno. AB 415 streamlines the process for removing abandoned junk vehicles from public or private property. It includes a set of criteria that, when met, allows a tow operator to pick up an abandoned junk vehicle and move it straight to a junkyard without moving to an impound lot or searching for an owner. The Department of Motor Vehicles reviewed the bill and determined that there will be no fiscal impact. The bill will require wreckers and tow operators to use an existing form that appraises potential abandoned junk vehicles. DMV indicates that computer programming that will enable tow operators to access a web portal to issue non-repairable certificates, and the estimated cost for forms and programming will be absorbed by DMV IT staff with existing operations. Chair, that concludes our presentation, and we are available for questions, and DMV is also here.
Thank you, and we'll invite the DMV to the table. Good morning. How are you, Mr. Seaver?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, committee members. Sean Sever from the Nevada DMV. We are of course neutral on AB 415. We had a zero impact fiscal note originally on the bill. I added a small one for a two-part controlled form when it was amended, but later decided to absorb the cost, use an existing form, and then make it a zero again. So third time's a charm. Thanks.
I love the third time's a charm, although it was one of the smallest amounts I've ever seen for DMV, so I did appreciate that. But zero's even better. So just wanted to make sure we got that on the record. Members, any other questions? All right, not seeing any, I'll ask you to take a step back. And we'll invite to the table anyone that is in support of Assembly Bill 415. Not seeing anyone come to the table here in Carson City and not seeing anyone in Las Vegas. Do we have anyone on the phones that would like to provide support testimony for Assembly Bill 415?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 415, please press star 9 now to join the queue.
Good morning, Chair Monroe Moreno. For the record, my name is Danny Thompson, THOMPSON, calling on behalf of Snap Tow in Henderson, Nevada. We're in full support of this bill. This bill will make our community safer and cleaner. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other callers?
Chair, there is no additional support testimony at this time.
Thank you so much. Then we will move to opposition. Is there anyone that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 415? Not seeing anyone here at the table in Carson City or in Las Vegas. We'll go back to the phone lines. Do we have anyone on the phone that would like to provide opposition testimony for Assembly Bill 415?
If you would like to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 415, please press star 9 now to join the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. Then we will move to the neutral position. Is there anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 415? Not seeing anyone move here in Carson City, no one in Las Vegas. Do we have anyone on the phone line that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 415?
If you would like to testify in neutral for Assembly Bill 415, please press star 9 now to join the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. And we'll ask the sponsors, no closing remarks for them. All right. Well, that we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 415. Thank you for joining us. And we will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 479, which revises provisions relating to the taxation of agriculture real property.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Howard Watts, representing Assembly District 15. It's my pleasure to present Assembly Bill 479 for your consideration today. Essentially, what this bill is trying to do is ensure that if agricultural property owners wish to co-locate a solar project on their lands, that they would continue to receive the property tax treatment that agricultural property enjoys. There was some questions and confusion on the original draft of the bill that potentially this could expand the use of that tax treatment to other properties where there is currently solar development. So we worked on an amendment to the bill that is incorporated in this first reprint. As a result, there was a fiscal note submitted by the Department of Education originally that indicated they could not determine whether the bill might have a negative impact. They submitted an updated unsolicited fiscal note indicating that it will have no impact on the department. Additionally, the Treasurer's Office submitted a fiscal note indicating that they could not determine any potential impact. I do have an email. I don't believe there's an updated fiscal note, but I do have communication from the Treasurer's Office indicating that the first reprint alleviates their concerns, and they believe that it will not have a negative fiscal impact. And then there were also fiscal notes submitted by the counties. I do believe we have a representative from NACO here, but have confirmed that any of the local government concerns about potential impacts to their revenues have also been addressed as a result of the amendment made to the bill. That concludes my presentation. Glad to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Watts. I do have in hand the amended fiscal note from the Treasurer's Office for a $0 impact. And if NACO could come to the table and if you have any information, I know that there was a fiscal note from Humboldt County and from Churchill County, and I believe it's on the original, the bill as originally drafted, and that may have been gotten out.
Good morning, Chair. For the record, my name is Vincent Guthreau. Last name is spelled Guthreau. First name is Vincent, Vinson. I can confirm I called, I reached out to our members that had submitted fiscal notes on the original bill. They are comfortable. They are removing those, so I can confirm that the sponsor, he is correct that the local fiscal notes have been removed under the first reprint. I'd also be remiss if I didn't thank them for how well they reached out to local government initially, so I do want to put that on the record. But thanks for the opportunity. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you. Well, that was the one question that I had about the LOCO's fiscal notes. Members, any questions for Assemblymember Watts? Not seeing any. Thank you so much. Thank you both. I'll ask you to step back, and we'll invite to the table here in Carson City anyone that would like to provide testimony in support of Assembly Bill 479. Good morning and welcome to Ways.
Good morning, Chair and members of the Assembly Ways and Means Committee. This is Sheila Bray with the University of Nevada, Reno. We are in full support of this bill and just want to thank Assemblymember Watts for coming to us in the interim session to really begin this work on agrivoltaics and how we could expand it throughout the state. We actually have some researchers in Tonopah that are working most closely with this, and so we just look forward to expanding it throughout the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Christy Cabrera-Georgeson. I'm the Deputy Director of the Nevada Conservation League. We're here in strong support. We believe this bill will benefit our agricultural industry as well as our growing clean energy economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Olivia Tanager. That's OLIVIA-TANAGER. For the record, I'm the director of the Sierra Club's Toyabe chapter. We've been working with the sponsor on this bill since the interim, and we appreciate all of the work that has gone into it. We've also been working with NACO, Department of Ag. A really robust, awesome group of people have come together to put together the legislation that you see before you today. We're here in strong support. We believe that Nevada stands at the intersection of two of its assets, abundant sunshine and our agricultural community, the folks who help us put food on our tables. And we believe that ultimately this bill will be a revenue generator. So we're glad to see some of the fiscal impacts be worked out through amendments, and we are in full support of this bill and urge your support as well. Thank you.
Thank you. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Caleb Cage, spelled C-A-L-E-B, last name C-A-G-E. I'm here on behalf of Eureka County this morning in support of this bill. I want to thank the sponsor, as others have, for continuing to work with jurisdictions and partners throughout the state to ensure that this bill moves forward. Eureka County wishes to preserve our agricultural base as much as possible, but we are also realists in recognizing the energy transition that is underway. Eureka County has been interested in finding ways to incentivize agrivoltaics for some time now. This is a recognition of many of the solar energy projects currently being pursued on private agriculture lands in Eureka County. We currently have literally thousands of acres of private agricultural land under lease or some other type of site control for solar development in Eureka County. Some of these leases are on lands where irrigation and water rights no longer exist. We believe integrating agriculture with solar developments is the best way we can hope for development on these lands. We believe the integrated use of agriculture with solar, incentivizing these, is good policy. AB 479, as amended in the first reprint, strikes the right balance in incentivizing agrivoltaics while not creating any additional tax revenue burden on counties, while actually enhancing tax revenue on lands. Thank you for your work in moving AB 479 forward. Thank you.
Thank you. You can go ahead.
Thank you, committee, here for considering this bill. It's just come to my attention now. My name is Christopher Burris, B-O-E-R-E-S. I grew up on a farm. Anybody on the farm knows the best way to manage their property. If you can expedite the ability to put solar into the hands of the people closest to the use of the power, the more you can do. And this is a great way to do it, as bare minimum amount how to look at this. But anything you can do to help a farmer who knows how to run their land better than anybody and move solar onto the land in such a way that does not burden the undeveloped land that we have in this state. It's a tragedy what's going on with large solar panel installations, but this is one that the people who know their land best could probably best understand how to deploy solar. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Not seeing anyone else here in Carson City. and no one at the table in Las Vegas, we'll move to the phone line. Do we have anyone that would like to provide testimony in support of Assembly Bill 479 joining us by phone?
To testify in support of Assembly Bill 479, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Hello, Chair Monroe Moreno and Committee on Ways and Means. My name is Laurel Saito, and I am the Nevada Water Strategy Director for the Nature Conservancy. We thank Assemblyman Watts and others for bringing this bill forward. The Nature Conservancy supports transitioning to renewable energy resources and supports a smart from the start approach that accelerates such projects while maximizing conservation values and promoting economic development and stability in Nevada. Using already disturbed land for renewable energy development conserves land for wildlife, tribal cultural values, and recreational opportunities while preserving the socioeconomic structure of communities, and it may even help address declining water availability. We urge your support for AB 479.
Thank you so much. Next caller?
Yes, good morning. Are you able to hear me?
We can.
Thank you. This is Doug Busselman, Busselman. I am the Executive Vice President of Nevada Farm Bureau, and we are also calling in this morning to express our support for AB 479. Thank you.
Thank you. Broadcast, do we have any other callers?
Chair, there are no additional callers for support.
Thank you so much. Then we will move to opposition. If there's anyone here in the room that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 479, I invite you to the table. Not seeing anyone here in Carson City and no one in Las Vegas, we'll go back to the phone line. Do we have anyone joining us on the phone line broadcast that would like to provide testimony in opposition of AB 479?
To testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 479, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for opposition.
Thank you. Then we will move to the neutral position. If there's anyone that would like to write neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 479, I invite you to the table. Not seeing anyone come to the table in Carson City and no one in Las Vegas, we'll go back to the phone line for the last time. Do we have anyone on the phone that would like to provide testimony in the neutral position on Assembly Bill 479?
Testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 479, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you so much. We'll ask the sponsor, who is shaking his head no, for any closing remarks. So with that, we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 479. And we will move to our last bill on today's agenda and open the hearing on Assembly Bill 105, which revises provisions governing firearms, and invite our majority leader to the table. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. Assemblymember Sandra Howdigi here, representing Assembly District 41, and I'm pleased to be here before you to present Assembly Bill 105. Assembly Bill 105 did already have its policy hearing, so I will briefly let the committee know what 105 does and then walk through the fiscal note. Assembly Bill 105 is a redraft of Assembly Bill 354 from the 2023 session, which prohibits firearms within 100 feet of an election site. In 2023, there was 0 fiscal notes put on it, including from the Nevada Department of Corrections. This year, we are here because there was a fiscal note put on Assembly Bill 105 in the amount of $66,744 for both the biennium. So it's $33,000 for fiscal year 26 and $33,000 for fiscal year 27. I did contact the Nevada Department of Corrections and confirmed with them their fiscal note said that they were unable to determine how this would impact them, and it was really a guess. They don't know how many people would be in prison, but if they had to guess, it would be about maybe 2 people a year. After discussing with them that we only have elections every other year, and all municipal and state elections are on the same timeline, we were able to cut it in half because on the odd number years, there would not be any election sites. So I did not have that in writing, but I do believe the Nevada Department of Corrections is here to answer questions, but they did confirm that we would not have any election sites on the odd number years, only the even number years when elections take place. With that, Madam Chair, I am open to questions.
Thank you so much. If we do have someone here from the Department of Corrections that can speak to the fiscal notes and any adjustments, we would appreciate that. Welcome back to the table. The Assembly member addressed the fiscal note and made some statements. Could you clarify the fiscal note that's been submitted, if there's any adjustments to that fiscal note, or maybe it's down to zero like it was when we were here last session?
Yes, thank you. When we first analyzed this, as Assembly member mentioned, we were just estimating what the impact might be. And after further discussions, we did reduce it down to 1 potential offender every other year. So we did submit an unsolicited fiscal note, I believe it's up in Nellis right now, to reduce the fiscal impact down to $33,000, which reflects 1 additional potential offender. And there's no data to support that. It's just an estimate that if we think this goes through, we might have 1 additional offender come our way.
Okay, the first thing, could you state your name for the record?
I apologize. Don Southworth, DONSOUTHWORTH. I'm the Chief of Offender Management with the Department of Corrections.
Thank you so much. And that 1 offender that might make it through the court system, through the city jail, the county jail, you think they would really end up in prison?
Yeah, thank you for the question. A lot of that's going to be at the discretion of the judges. I don't remember what the category felony is on this off the top of my head, but they could be given probation. It's just an estimate.
It would be a Category D felony.
Okay.
Yes.
Nick, so probation is an option for Category D felonies, but not a guarantee like it would be for an E felony.
Perfect. Members, any other questions? Speaker Yeager.
I don't know if it's so much a question, Chair. Maybe I'll find a question in here, but I just, I note for the record, I know it's not the policy hearing, but some violations of this are gross misdemeanors, and that's on page 1, line 27. So just want to confirm, even if you're convicted of a gross misdemeanor, that's 12 months potentially spent in county jail, not at NDOC, right?
Don Southworth, for the record. Yes, gross misdemeanor conviction would be served at a county jail, not Department of Corrections.
Great, thanks. And I guess just to follow up, Chair, the way I read the bill, it's only a Category D felony if you knowingly possess the firearm at the election site with a specific intent to disrupt, interfere with, or monitor the administration of the election, the counting of the votes, or any person who is voting or attempting to vote. So that's sort of the stepped up provision, I guess. And I think I hear what you're saying is this is a new law, so you just don't know. Hopefully nobody goes to the election site with the firearm with that intent. But I guess my question there, and I don't know if you can answer this, maybe it's more of a comment, but my experience in the criminal justice system has typically been if someone is charged with a Category D felony, normally there's a negotiation process with the district attorney and the defense attorney, and typically Category Ds end up getting reduced by plea bargain to Category Es, which I think you had indicated that would be mandatory probation. So if in fact someone was given the benefit of a plea bargain where it ended up being a Category E felony, that would not be someone who would go straight to prison. They would get a chance at probation and then only go to prison if their probation was revoked. If you could confirm that, please.
Yes. Thank you. You are correct. We just don't know what the impact will be, and these are just assumptions. But yes, the plea bargain process happens through the courts. before they ever come to Department of Corrections, if they do. But if it's pled down to a category E or even lower to a gross misdemeanor charge, we likely would never see them in our department.
Thank you so much. Members, any other questions? Not seeing any. I thank you so much for the testimony. We'll ask you both to step back, and thank you, NDOC, for being here to answer our questions. If there's anyone here to testify in support of Assembly Bill 105, I invite you to the table now. Not seeing anyone come to the table here in Carson City and not seeing anyone in Las Vegas. Do we have anyone on the phone broadcast that would like to provide testimony in support of Assembly Bill 105?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 105, please press star 9 now to join the queue.
Good morning, Chairwoman Monroe Moreno and committee members. For the record, my name is Emily Prasad Zamora. That's spelled PERSAUD-ZAMORA. I'm the Executive Director of Silver State Voices, testifying in strong support of AB 105 on behalf of our organization and the Let Nevadans Vote Committee. We know this is a money committee, so we'll just keep it plain and simple. We support the bill. Please vote yes on it. And we thank the majority leader for all of her work on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Paula Luna, that's Paula-Luna, and I'm the Deputy Director of Battleborn Progress. We are calling in strong support of AB 105 and urge you all to support as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Broadcast, do you have any other callers?
Chair, there are no additional callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much for that. Then we will close support and move to opposition. Is there anyone here in Carson City that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 105? Remember to state and spell your name for the record. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Janine Hansen. I'm the state president of Nevada Families for Freedom. And because this bill makes election sites gun-free zones, there's a greater possibility of a crazy shooter at a gun-free zone, which experience in the United States has shown. From the Crime Prevention Center on April 4th of this year, they report that the FBI tracks active shooters where individuals attempt to kill people in public places. This study is the first systematically to compare how uniformed police and civilians with concealed handgun permits in stopping these attacks. Civilians with permits stop the attacks more frequently and faced lower risk of being killed or injured than police. Officers who intervened during attacks were more likely to be killed or injured than those who apprehended the attackers later. We also provided evidence that these numbers significantly underestimate the advantages of civilians over officers in stopping these attacks. It's a problem to create an election site as a gun-free zone so that everyone knows that there will be no one there with a CCW permit to protect those who might be under attack from some crazy person. We oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. You can go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Catherine Ingham, Catherineingham, and I am here on behalf of Nevada Federation of Republican Women. Dear Chair and Committee, thank you for allowing us to read this letter from the Nevada Federation of Republican Women during public comment regarding our opposition to the anti-gun bill AB 105. The Nevada Federation of Republican Women represents 18 clubs statewide and more than 1,500 members. We strongly oppose AB 105. Our organization has formally voted on and adopted a resolution opposing further restrictions on Second Amendment rights. The Second Amendment to the United States Constitution affirms the right of the people to keep and bear arms and explicitly prohibits any infringement of that right. AB 105 prohibits a person from carrying a firearm within 100 feet of the entrance to a polling place. Many polling places are located in shopping centers, effectively turning entire shopping areas into gun-free zones. In the event of a terrorist attack or violent threat, law-abiding citizens would be left unable to defend themselves. For these reasons, we strongly oppose AB 105 and urge a no vote. And we would also like to say that what was left off the letter was that we feel that it is an unfunded mandate and government overreach, and we don't think it should be funded. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can go ahead.
Cyrus Hojjati, Hojjaty. We appreciate that there's efforts to bring gun safety. We want our polling areas to be safe. But unfortunately, I don't believe this is the right bill, and we will echo the previous and future commentators. Thank you. Great pleasure.
Thank you. You can go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Bob Russo for the record. That's spelled R-U-S-S-O. I strongly oppose AB 105 and any funding directed toward this bill. This bill aims to place restrictions on carrying a firearm within 100 feet of the entrance of a polling place. In other words, this bill would create another gun-free zone. According to a study reported in July 2023 by Carl Moody at the Department of Economics at the College of William and Mary, using what is viewed as an unbiased methodology, here is what the study found. Combining newly developed and traditional difference in differences methodologies, we analyzed several policies that have been suggested as possibly effective in reducing deaths due to mass public shootings. We find that none of the proposed policies significantly reduce such deaths. However, we find evidence that mass public shooting deaths are lower in places that allow the carrying of concealed firearms. John R. Lott, considered the nation's preeminent expert on gun rights, explains in his 2012 book, The War on Guns, that gun-free zones are the preferred target for killers. They know what they are doing, and they want to kill as many people as possible so that they can get more media attention. Using various examples, he concludes that killers have the choice of attacking theaters or malls where guns were allowed, but they consistently went out of their way to attack those rare places where guns were not allowed. So we can conclude from the above that AB 105, instead of providing a safe environment for voters, could potentially put them at greater risk from a mentally unstable or violent individual intent on killing as many people as possible without any armed resistance. And for the above reasons, I ask you to please oppose AB 105 and any funding directed toward it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Not seeing anyone else here at the table in Carson City and no one at the table in Las Vegas. Broadcast, let's go to the phone line to see if we have anyone that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 105.
If you would like to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 105, please press star 9 now to join the queue.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for letting me talk on this bill. My name is Kimberly Fergus, F-E-R-G-U-S, and I'm here today in strong opposition of AB 105. AB 105 seeks to prohibit the possession of firearms within 100 feet of an election site, creating a gross misdemeanor offense for those who lawfully carry in proximity to a polling location. Additionally, it imposes Category D felonies for those accused of possessing a firearm with intent to disrupt, interfere, or monitor voting activities. While this bill carves out exemptions for law enforcement and private security, it blatantly infringes upon the constitutional rights of law-abiding citizens, particularly those lawfully exercising their Second Amendment rights under both federal law and NRS Chapter 202. Moreover, AB 105, what the hell did I just, oh, I'm sorry. AB 105 extends the scope of firearm restrictions, existing provisions in NRS 202.265. I apologize for the goof up. While already regulated firearms in certain sensitive locations such as schools and child care facilities, expanding this restriction to election sites without clear and compelling evidence of a specific and intimate threat is an unwarranted overreach and dangerous precedent. Additionally, the affirmation defense provision in Section 1, subsection 6, only applies to those traveling to and from private property, yet fails to protect lawful gun owners from inadvertent violation to public spaces. This vague and overbroad restriction opens the door to potential misuse and selective enforcement, undermining due process. Lastly, AB 105 fails to demonstrate a nexus between lawful firearm possession and voter intimidation, relying on speculative scenarios without substantial data. Nevada's existing laws already address criminal intent to
Ms.
disrupt
Ferguson,
elections
you have
under
reached your
NRS
2-minute
293.
limit. You can always submit your comments, written comments to the committee. Thank you
Okay.
so much for joining us today, and thank you for the
Thank you.
apology
Have a great
for
day.
the goof up. BPS, do we have any other callers?
Yes, Chair. One moment.
Thank you.
Good morning. This is Lynn Chapman, LYNNCHAPMAN, and I'm the state treasurer of the Independent American Party. The Independent American Party platform reads, Nevada Constitution, Article 1, Section 11, quote, every citizen has the right to keep and bear arms for security and defense, for lawful hunting and recreational use, and for other lawful purposes, unquote, including the right to own and use ammunition and components. We have a problem because that goes into, if you have a firearm within 100 feet, it is a gross misdemeanor, and that's a problem if you have a concealed carry. If you have a concealed carry, that $33,000 price tag to house people. But the problem is, if you're legally carrying, you could end up going into a prison or even a jail when you're legally carrying a firearm. And so I agree with a lot of what's already been said in opposition. So we please vote no on AB 105. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. My name is Cynthia Perrine, CYNTHIA Perrine. I would respectfully like to point out that this morning, one proponent of this bill stated, quote, we do not know the impact of this bill. And I am just questioning why pass a bill of uncertain impact? There has been no testimony this morning regarding guns being a problem at polling places to date in Nevada. It appears to be a what-if bill looking for a problem that may not exist at present. Nevadans are peace-loving people, and people who carry have a CCW, as pointed before, may have difficulty with this bill. I oppose this bill. And again, my thanks for letting me speak.
Thank you for joining us. Next caller.
Hi, Yolanda Kanak, Yolanda, last name Knaak.
I agree with all the previous callers. Plus, I don't know that they have taken into consideration the impact on the ROV workers having to take signs out and then remove them every day, and just the hassle that they have already so many signs. I've worked the polls before, and you have all these signs you have to post outside and inside, and so I'm in plus the fiscal cost of printing the signs and transporting the signs. I'm opposed to this bill, so please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other callers?
Chair, there are no additional callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you so much, and we will close opposition and we'll move to neutral. Do we have anyone here in the room that would like to provide neutral testimony? Not seeing any and not seeing anyone at the table in Las Vegas. We'll go to the phone lines and ask if there's anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 105. And I'll remind callers that this is not the time to provide testimony in support of the bill or in opposition of the bill. If you are neutral on the bill, we welcome you to make your comments now.
Thank you, Chair. There are no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. And the sponsor of the bill has indicated there is no closing comments, so we will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 105. And members, that brings us to the very last item on our agenda, and that is public comment. And in public comment, we will not hear comments on any bills that were discussed on our agenda today. It's general public comment, and invite those to the table that would like to make public comment at this time. If you're calling in for public comment, our number is 888-475-4499. Our meeting ID is 886-92-465-279, and then please press pound. I'll remind speakers that I need you to state and spell your name for the record, and you have 2 minutes, and we'll start here in Carson City.
Good morning. Thank you, members of the committee, for giving me this opportunity to speak. My name is Cyrus Hojadi. I am the team leader of the local chapter, Strong Towns Las Vegas, urban planning organization seeking alternatives in land use, transportation. I sent all the legislatures letters, and one of them that responded was Erica Mosca. I appreciate it, and like the rural school build, by the way. Yesterday, I did a testimony on transit. Obviously, it applies to us. Federal lands expansion, very, very important. This is the #1 issue living here in the Las Vegas Valley. We have a lot of negative effects. Las Vegas is the 6th densest urban area in the country, thanks to tiny lots. Yet it's one of the most car-dependent areas in the United States. Our main issue is the arterial roads, the Blue Diamonds, the Rainbows, the Craigs, the Easterns of the world. They have to stop being built as we expand going further. I wanted to issue some of the bills that I recommended that other states have been implementing. Illinois has made it easier to build middle housing, fourplexes, duplexes, all those other things. Texas passed a bill that allows starter home constructions to be built. The state of Washington made it easier to reduce parking requirements. This is a very important issue. Our main cause of urban heat island effect is because these vast empty parking lots. Not to mention, the same state made it illegal for a job to require a driver's license, even though the job has no abilities to do driving at all. I mean, why do we have such policy? Just to let you know. So these are some of the bills that we appreciate you bringing in 2027. And by the way, I've noticed that not one Republican responded. And this is the thing, because, a lot of people complain about our elections, but if you really want to win, folks, you got to really address the issues. And this is an issue that's very popular among young people. You can't just rely on going to fancy 55 and over dinners, expect to win. So, but other than that, we appreciate your time. Sorry to hold you up, but please consider these bills and please address urban planning issues. Great pleasure.
Thank you so much. Not seeing anyone else here in Carson City to make public comment, and no one at the table in Las Vegas broadcast. Do we have anyone on the phone line that would like to make public comment at this time?
Chair, the public line is open and working. You have no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. And members, that was the last item on our agenda. I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. This meeting is adjourned.